not to scare the people, right? But he said that was simply because you want to come back in a certain way, you don't come back. You need to get qualified for that. And that's where the moral responsibility comes in, like karma. So that's how Buddha explains why he was destined, why he got reborn as a pig was that he didn't think about his responsibility, his moral obligation for his own sake. So that's where the karma, only when we discuss karma, we will touch upon that. Yes.
Did people of that time use that to justify the caste system and say, oh, the untouchables must have, asked,
that's a good question, yeah.
not done their work or something?
Actually, this is what happened, yeah. So anthropologically, caste system had its origin, had occupational basis, based on their occupations. But later, that religious text Manusmriti, so that came with the social stratification and caste system. But later on, when both Hindus and some Buddhists as well, when they saw untouchables going through agony, and people would put the blame on karma. Actually, what Buddha said was, even if what you go through is a karmic result, and you are not supposed to think, you must try your hard to pull yourself out of that. And one example is, because sometimes people don't like to give a bath to a homeless person. Then I asked one day in Florida, one of my friends was driving around Tampa Bay area, and then so that I wanted to give some money. He said, don't give them. Why? Because they use that money for drugs. Wow. So now that you don't give anything, would they not try drugs anymore? No, they would do, but I shouldn't contribute. No, it is based on the and then it is their karma, and that's why they are homeless. And who said my friend is a Buddhist? I said, you are offending the Buddha. Why? It is offensive to Buddha. Why is that? You cannot use the teaching of karma for the wrong purpose. Even if it is their karma, but don't put the blame on their karma and discourage yourself to give. What you do must, if you want to give. Otherwise, don't insult the homeless. Don't insult them. You are not enlightened to say whether it's karma or what. So don't insult. So that is one point at which people misconceive, where people have misconception of karma. Even a lot of Buddhists do that. Of course, one of my siblings did that. I was totally against that. What happens was, it was his karma, right? He divorced his third wife. Actually, he got kicked out. And he had lots of drugs. And finally, he had to give his property to his wife, right? So that he became homeless. And he came to my temple looking for some help. Not serious, but I had to tease him. I said, so please help me because I'm penniless now. I told him, brother, it's your karma. I'm not supposed to give you anything. When I said that, he cried, okay. So you are using my own beliefs to hit me, right? Yes, you deserve that. And then he changed his idea. When pain became his own experience, and then he changed his belief. So I gave him a discourse, right? Big sermon. Then I helped him. So in India, people do that a lot. People even insult Brahman, actually their God, by saying that because you were created to suffer. One day one Hindu in Belarus, when one of my Brahmin friends, Hindu friends from Canada, he went travel with me to India. He was my interpreter. And when he insulted one untouchable homeless man, so that he told me that, because see that Brahman created him to suffer. Do you know one thing? Do you know something? What is that? You are not, let's say, you are offending that poor man, but whom you have offended first is not the man, but your God. If you say that your God created him to suffer, so then who is responsible for his suffering? Your God, right? And oh no, I'm sorry, I didn't mean that. I don't know, you did mean that. So that's how people are. It happens in India too. They employ the teaching of karma to insult people, so that you are not supposed to help them. So the people are destined to suffer. It happens in Buddhist societies as well. But one thing is that people use the teaching of karma when they go through some problems. Karma is both good and bad, right? When you win lottos, 649, mega millions, whatever, and you would hardly say it's my karma that I won this lottery. Whereas when you lose everything, you would say, okay, it's my karma. Karma is both good and bad. If you believe in karma, you have to appreciate karma when you get something. If you only use the teaching of karma when you are faced with some problems, actually at that point you are not really using the teaching of karma. Yes, in India it happens a lot. In different societies, it's their karma that they suffer. So at that point, if a Buddhist, I know lots of Buddhists, including my sibling, I told him, you are not Buddhist, you believe in fatalism. So my sibling believes in fatalism. He doesn't believe it that way because I told him. So if you believe that somebody is going, even if it's really karmic, even if you are suffering your problems due to your karma, Buddha discourages you to believe in karma. Yeah, like in Bodhisattva path. In Bodhisattvas, they never talk about karma. Why is that? If Bodhisattvas talk about karma, they get discouraged. They wouldn't be able to complete their paramitas, the bodhisattva qualities. They don't talk about, they never talk about karma. Even though karma is a reality, they never talk about that. Instead, they talk about startup energy and continue. Two things. Later we will talk about that in Buddhism class. So now it's 3:30. Somehow the clock, the time is slowing down. 3:40, yeah. We have 20 more minutes to continue. Any more questions pertaining to what we have discussed so far? Now, and the next thing is nirvana. Right? We discussed Atman, Paramatman, Atman, Samsara, Karma, and then nirvana. So, nirvana in Hinduism, nirvana is vertically connected with Brahman. How? Because finally, one day you have to go back to the union, Sahaveta. So according to Hindus, nirvana is essentially the union, going back to the union with Brahman, going back to where they came from. Whereas to Buddhists, nirvana is the total extirpation, total extinction of our samsaric existence. To die, not to come back to life. So that is nirvana. So nirvana is not a cosmic reality, according to Buddhism. It is based on your mind. It is the highest shift in your cognition, cognitive shift in your perception. Now, again, according to Hinduism, nirvana, samsara is more like the whole world is the samsaric landscape. So, Brahman send you down to the world, that is samsara. So, Hindus perceive samsara more like a physical landscape, like the world. But whereas in Buddhism, samsara is perceived as our perception. Perception is our samsara, not the world. It's our perception. So, based on our, like, my Upananda samsara is different than your samsara. We have our own individual samsara. There's no single landscape, single place called samsara. Samsara means the individual, that we individually travel in the cycle based on our personal karma, based on our personal habits, based on our personal memories, based on our personal attachment. It's personal. So that if your family has 5 members, so there are 5 samsaras. And the way 5 family members perceive samsara is different. So, but whenever, in Buddhism too, whenever you hear the word samsara, it is either your past life or the future comeback. So in Buddhism, Buddha divides samsara into 3 timelines. Our past, like our yesterdays, today, and tomorrows to come. So, and then even if you don't believe in past life or afterlife, within this lifetime itself you still see these 3 timelines. What you did yesterday would affect your behavior today. What you do today would affect your existence tomorrow. That's how samsara is understood in Buddhism. Not as a single, but the world, the society, the physical, natural world is the physical basis of our samsaric existence. It's not the samsara, it is the basis. That is the material or the physical basis of our existence. Because again, samsara is based on our experience. And then, another word that Buddha uses as opposed to Brahman, Buddha uses the word sankhara. S-A-N-K-H-A-R-A, sankhara, Pali. S-A-N-S-K-A-R, sanskara, Sanskrit. Sanskara or sankhara means dynamic, the conditional things. Everything is conditionally arising. This table is man-made. Everything is based on cause and effect. So our existence, we understand, we value ourselves based on our sanskaras, meaning dynamic of experience. Experience is dynamic. You can have individual experience due to individual life situations, but experiences are dynamic. Our entire life, when you define your life, is based on the dynamic flow experience. So that is called the dynamics of experience, meaning sanskara. Yeah, sanskara. If I ask you to describe yourself. Consciously or subconsciously, within a couple of minutes, you would start saying that all the bad things that you have been through, all your bad experience. There will be more negative experience than good experience. Even if you have good experience, you easily downgrade them, forget them, ignore them, and you only highlight your bad experience because of your subconsciously planted notion of perfectionism. Right? So that is where the problem is. So the nirvana is when you overcome, when you permanently remove that perception individually, then it is your nirvana. So it has no connection with a divine force, sanskar. So far, so I have explained all four these key terms. But all these terms occur in Hinduism, but Buddha reinterpreted them because given the similar dialects or languages that people used, so first Buddha had to borrow the terms and explain. Otherwise, people wouldn't understand that. In case Buddha simply said that, okay, a Hindu or Brahmin comes to Buddha and says, okay, you believe in nirvana, right, Buddha? And if Buddha simply said, yes, I do, and nothing else, no more, and the Brahman would nod in agreement, okay, like me, he believes in samsara, okay, samsara is connected to Brahman, he does believe in Brahman as well. And so Buddha would always, when Buddha is answering a question, most of the time, he would start answering the question first by asking a counter question. That's the Buddha's way of answering. Okay, you believe in samsara, right, Gautama? And Buddha would say, what do you mean by samsara? Well, it is samsara, the same thing as you believe. No, first tell me what you believe, what samsara means. When he okay, I do believe in samsara, but not the kind of samsara that you do believe in. So that's the way Buddha answers. Otherwise, Buddha would convey a wrong message. So, and then, so far, so I have just explained some difference between Hinduism and Buddhism. Even though this is a history of introduction to Buddhism, history of Buddhism, but we also need to touch upon some concepts. Because otherwise, there's no way to differentiate, explain the difference. So, and then the next thing is, when Buddha was asked whether he was a god, Buddha said no. Whether he was a yaksha or a powerful spirit, he said no. Whether he was God king of gods, Buddha said no. And then whether he was human, also Buddha said no. But later Buddha said, yes, I am human. At that point, if Buddha had said human, the highly intellectual person would not start the dialogue and say, okay, he is nothing more than a human. So the Buddha purpose said, no, I am not human either. And then who are you then? Oh, I am the Buddha. So Buddha is not human? And Buddha said, well, Buddha is human at the same time. When you are the Buddha, you are human at the same time, not human. He doesn't mean that he was divine. Just wanted to say that typically a human being is someone that is driven by attachment. Whereas you have no attachment, you are different. Buddha's purpose was to start the dialogue. But elsewhere, and he would say, so Buddha is necessarily a human being. And then one day, in order to show his selflessness. Right? If you ask me whether I am thirsty, right, then I would say yes, I am thirsty. Buddha would never say that. When you ask him whether he is thirsty or hungry, and he would say, yes, Buddha is thirsty, not I am thirsty. Buddha wants to clean his body. He just wanted to, he used the language of selflessness. Now, the last thing, we have 8 minutes. Nothingness, shunyata. Hindus also use the word shunyata. Shunyata is Sanskrit. Sunyata is Pali. Right? Shunya, S-U or S-H-U-N-Y-A-T-A, shunyata. In Pali it is sunyata. S-U-N-N, nya, right? Tilde upon N, right? Tilde put to nya, sunyata, meaning emptiness, nothingness. Nowadays there's an ongoing debates among Buddhist schools as to what emptiness is. If there's the biggest number of books written on a certain Buddhist concept of Buddhism, it is on emptiness. Still people find it difficult to understand what it is. Right? Now, but that idea also occurs in Judaism and also Hinduism. According to Hinduism, Brahman is sunyata, nothingness. Brahman is nothingness, at the same time he is everything. In Judaism you say everything arises from nothingness. Why you say that in Judaism is, in Judaism God is nothingness. In Hinduism the same belief. Now nothingness is directly interconnected with Brahman, like Nirvana. So, whereas in Buddhism, what is nothingness? Nothingness is, now, this iPhone, like this is iPhone 6s Plus, very old. I just got the firmware update, and then Apple said that no more updates. Right? This is the last update that the phone got updated. So this is old. In a few months, this would be obsolete. So, but even though I want to achieve nirvana, if you ask me, if you suggest that I donate this phone to you, I will say no. I don't give this to you. This is my phone. Right? This is mine. And then why? Because there are other phones, but this is an iPhone. I had a phone that was not Apple before, and when I got the Apple phone, then this is the first time. This is the 6th one. When I had the earliest version, and I was very young then also, I was proudly showing off and okay, this is my phone. Right? People do that when they get the latest version one. So now, my younger sister, she hates iPhones. She says I only like Android, Samsung, the two biggest companies who have the biggest lawsuit in the history, right? So now, when it comes to this phone, in the eyes of my younger sister, this phone has a lesser value. In my eyes, this has the biggest value. Why? Because I like this. Where does that value come from? I attributed that. So, man-made things like this iPhone comes with an attributed value. Anything would have a value, even the nature things. Naturally, things created by the nature would have a certain value. But things, whether man-made or natural, don't have fixed value. They have an attribute value. Like when you are hungry and nothing to eat, no time to do grocery, and you haven't been road and you haven't got your paycheck, no money, nothing, and then you have some food leftovers in the fridge, and that's 2 days old, but still nothing to eat. But you warm up and eat because you are hungry. Simply because you are extremely hungry, you are eating the best food in the world. And tomorrow you get your paycheck and you go to a restaurant and eating in one of the branded restaurants. And then what happens to the food that you ate yesterday? The moment you were eating that food leftovers yesterday when you were extremely hungry, that was the best food in the world. But when I remind you of that, and you say, and you even, you know what, forget about that, this is the food, that wasn't food, I was simply hungry. But what you are doing right now is, you are taking that higher value that you had attributed that food leftover that you ate yesterday, because you got new food today. So that's why value is always attributed. You give something a value, certain degree of value. And because of that, we see what if you see through this phone. Let's say I am now enlightened. I'm not. Suppose I'm enlightened. To me, I would simply, this phone would be instrumental to my existence, not ornamental. When you attribute an ornamental value to this phone, and you see a higher value. And enlightened people use the world, even their physical body, as an instrument, not ornament. So, and then if now that I am enlightened, I break this phone, would I be sad? No. Why? Because my value of this phone doesn't believe on whatever the value that I had attributed it to it. I had simply accepted the phone because I wanted one. That's it. So based on our attachment and attributed value, we appreciate, we hate or love things. Whereas when you have zero attachment to objects, what happens? How do you see the phone? This is a perfect example of nothingness. There's nothing to take from this phone. Because in order to understand nothingness, you have to use, in light of a certain object, you can understand what nothingness is. Nothingness is everywhere. It's not the space. Now, when the space is surrounded by a wall all around, you see what? Space. With the presence of objects, you see the value of space. Suppose there are no buildings, no trees, nothing, and then you don't value the space because you don't see the boundaries of the space. So it's always, nothingness means just to see no value, whether built-in or attributed. That's called nothingness. So the Buddha lived in the world. If Buddha and I go to a restaurant, right? Days after the meal, I would still talk about the restaurant. Whereas in the Buddha's case, as he left the restaurant, it was gone. There's nothing to talk about that. So that's it. happy that I ended the class by confusing you. But I am not responsible for that. You know why? This is not a Buddhism class, a philosophy class, it's a history class. You can hold me responsible the next semester. Okay, now Q&A. Any questions? You can ask any questions pertaining to whatever we have discussed today, or anything in general about the class, anything, yes.
So when you were using the cell phone example and you said you were enlightened and you accepted the phone because you wanted one,
Yes.
Doesn't that determine a level of desire though?
Yes, it does.
So if you're enlightened,
You would only use because you need to use both to survive.
okay.
No more, nothing else. Hmm?
No attachment.
No attachment here.
Thank you.
Because one day one lady invited two monks to her house. What she did first was she cut one mango. It was and then one monk was enlightened, the other wasn't. Right? What he did was she offered each two monks. He offered the mango to two monks. When the Arahant, enlightened monk, had the mango, he would just calm and smile in the same way. He looked, where when the monk who wasn't enlightened, the average monk, when he was eating the mango, he made a face, right? Because it's sour mango. And then Arahant never made a face. He was the same calm, quiet person. The other monk made a face, and he looked agitated, and the lady observed that. The next, she cut the sweet mango, and then she offered it to the monks again. And when the Arahant was eating the mango, and he was the same calm, quiet, smiling monk. Whereas the other monk started complaining, "You should have given me the sweet one first. I hate the sour mango." While enjoying the sweet mango, he was complaining against the sour mango. In his perception, he was still consuming the sour one, because he still maintained passive attachment to the sour mango. As a result, he lost the opportunity to enjoy the sweet mango. We not only miss the opportunities, we also we miss our ample opportunities to enjoy in the conventional world simply because we complain too much. Right? So that is about attachment. That's the difference. In the case of the enlightened one, there was no difference between the sweet mango and the sour mango. When I work with mindfulness retreats with children, I do some experiments also. One day I had a retreat for youngsters in Tampa Bay, in Clearwater, Florida. I purposely bought like 50 bottles of, there were about 40 children. The number of branded bottles of water, and I removed that label. I made sure that all the books were similar in shape. Right? So in the morning I gave them each a bottle of water, and they just drank the water. That's okay, there's no problem. In the afternoon, when I offered the water, I gave with the label on, and I purposely asked the assistants to leave. If there are two students seated close to each other, and then give two different brands. What they did before opening the can, they look at each other's bottles and read the label. You got the better one. And they were complaining and making a face, and they were looking at me. I just ignored, right? And 5 minutes later, I told them, there's a complaint. You are complaining because first you consume the label, the brand, and then the water. But this morning, You had no chance to consume the brand, but you drank the water. You tested us. Is that why you are having this retreat? Yes, absolutely, you are right, you got it. I just want to teach them a simple lesson of how we consume the brand first. And then sometimes you can buy the same shirt at two different stores. And then, of course, I have come up with that. Once when I went to Indonesia, I brought Nike. They have a huge, big Nike factory in Indonesia. I donated the Nike shirts to my friends in Sri Lanka. And they asked some of them where I bought them. I said, in Indonesia, cheap t-shirts. I know why. You know what? Indonesia produces them and exports them to America. In America, it's very expensive because they have to recover transportation costs and tax and all that, shipping. So that's why it's more expensive. But still, some of them, I think Indonesian Nike would be a different one. Then I had another t-shirt that I bought in Los Angeles. It's still sealed in the pack, so that packing was so that when I opened it and showed Nike made in Indonesia. So what? Well, nothing to say. That's how people are. So people first they consume the concept surrounding the object, and then they use the object. So that when we not buy the brand first, actually it's your right, it's none of my business. Right? People have a right to choose whatever they would like to. But I just want to show an example how people get lost in their perception, attachment. So most probably the first formal written assignment, right? You don't have to worry about that now. I will email you anyway. I'm just giving you a hint at how it's going to be. Probably the first question would be not about Indus Valley civilization, but the Vedas. Right? For example, what if you have to answer a question like this? Explain how the Vedic religion went through transformation. Like that, for example, that's not the exact wording. If I ask you to answer that question, how would you start? Right? You would just touch upon the history, and then you would explain in terms of the 4 eras, and then in terms of the approach to that religion by followers, right? Vedism, Brahmanism, forest Aranyaka Upanishad, forest dwelling, and then Upanishads, gurus. So that's going to be, I checked with the university, that question is kind of universally repeated, every year. I noticed that. Because you always start with the history of Buddhism with the description of Vedas. So that would be the first question probably. Once again, you will just write 5 pages, double space, meaning 500 words, 400 words. That with double space is nothing much. And then you don't have to stick to like referencing style like in America, right? That's why at times I got lower marks because I missed certain references. For example, style. In America, so far in the school in which I have studied, I was asked to use the APA style. That's my favorite. It's very easy. You put the author's name and then the year, and then finally you add the reference in the bibliography, in the reference like that. Here, but you don't have to worry about that. But this is the technique. For example, you read the book, right? Let's say you need to quote Basham's somebody's book, and you would only say according to so and so. If possible, put the year, but you don't have to worry. According to so and so. So and so maintains that. So and so states that Hinduism is the most complex religion ever appeared in the world, like that. So that the grader would know, okay, he knows that so and so has said that. You don't need to put exact reference. But the lucky you is, grading is not based on written assignments, but multiple choice and midterm, and even the final exam is based on, it's a class assignment, in class, not homework. So that you don't have to really worry about references, but you simply have to say who said that. That's the easiest way. See, in certain cases I terrorized to read lots of books, but I got a lower grade because I didn't follow the exact referencing style. A comma missing, I got 1 point, 1 minus point, like that. But it is not like standard, there's no standard structure for assignments in this class. You simply write. The best way you just first write it. The benefit of history class is you can change the history, right? You cannot change the history, you simply narrate. You simply narrate the facts. And always start with bison. In case you get a question about Veda, and you could simply say, Veda is one of the oldest religious scriptures in the world, dating back to like 5,000 years, whatever. And then the Veda consists of four books, and you simply say that Rig, Vedic, and you can learn them by heart. So in case you don't remember the names, as long as you remember the number 4, right? And then you will be all right. And then always when you explain, just think about some characteristics of individual versions of Indian religion. For example, Vedism is more like hymns, prayers. Brahmanism, more intellectual, forest dwelling, much more spiritual, meditative, yogic. The last one, more teaching. So, and then I will send you everything in point form anyway. So you will write maybe like 5 questions. You will do like 5 formal assignments, and then put them in one file and read them again and again. Why is that? Because the question for the exam would come from those 5 assignments. When you read them again and again, you would have even memorized them. So there's no open book. And so that why I want you to write assignments is to your benefit. Then you don't close the exam, you don't have to rush to collect all the references, because you have just gone through the books and already collected all the references. And then when you use that technique, because I have come across some students in Miami when they had their final exam in class. I couldn't believe my eyes. It was like a formal written assignment. They had even put the correct reference. They had all the relevant scholars. Because all the questions I formulated out of the formal assignment that I asked them to write. And all those 5 formal assignments would encapsulate all the critical knowledge that to gain from the class. There are a few areas, like Vedic religion, how far Buddhism is different than its contemporary beliefs in India. And then when it comes to Buddhist schools, what paved the way for the emergence of different schools, monastics, what happened during Buddhist councils, how Buddhism got spread, geographical expansion of Buddhism from India to Asia and Southeast Asia, only 5. Those are 5 key areas. Or everything fits in those 5 areas. I have nothing more to say. You may have 418. So,
out of the reference, you said we have to say the name of the book or the name of the author where we got that reference from.
name of the author is enough.
Name of the author.
That's enough, yeah. You don't even have to remember
The name of the book.
name of the book. You don't have to. Not at all. I only require to remember the author's name, not the book, not even the year of publication.
Then could we say Banti said that in the class?
Yeah, that's called personal communication. That's also standard in AP and all the styles, right? You call in, when you put reference personal communication, my name, teacher's, instructor's name, when, the day, that's it. Personal communication. Because